What's up guys, it's SuperGachaMan back again with another gacha video. So many of you have probably already seen the revenue charts, and it's worrying for some gacha games like Stella Sora, which I will talk about in this video. As you guys might already be aware, Stella Sora, for the month of February, got $985,000. This is just under $1 million, which is the first for the gacha games in its time since release in October 2025. For comparison, Stella Sora had a revenue of about $1.4 million for the month of January, $2.4 million for December, $4 million for November, and just under $4 million for its release month of October. So as you can see, revenue is clearly going down for the game as time goes on. But stop right there. I know what you guys are thinking. Stella Sora is going to EOS! While these revenue numbers are dropping, I do not believe that Stella Sora is going to EOS anytime soon. This is because for YoStar, the developer, the Stella Sora is their first game that they are fully developing by themselves. So, because of that, in order to establish a good reputation as a developer in the gacha scene, they won't let this game easily EOS, even if the revenue is going down. On top of that, YoStar is a big publisher of prominent gacha games that you might have already heard of, like Blue Archive, Arknights, and Azure Lane. So they're already a big player in the gacha space, so they have money to keep this game alive for a little while longer, even if it makes less revenue than expected. And one more thing, YoStar has its own web store for topping up in the game. So these numbers may not be entirely accurate, since people can buy things from the web store, which is not tracked by the revenue charts. Now with that being said, these numbers are not good, and they are a result of bad things going on in the game, which I'm going to get into. First of all, before I jump into what Stella Sora is doing wrong, I want to say what it's doing great. For starters, Stella Sora's story is phenomenal, especially the latest chapter of the story. I won't spoil what happens, but not only is the writing and dialogue really good, but the production is also great. At the end of the chapter, there's always a specially made song that comes, and it just shows just how much effort that they put into making the story look good overall. But with the positives out of the way, let's talk about the negatives. First, the primary issue is the content of the game. For example, each time an event comes, we are constantly time-gated on what we can do. Like in the recent event for Wraith, we are only able to complete the first few stages of the normal difficulty for the first few days. Then, a few days later, the hard mode of the normal stages will unlock. Then, another few days later, the hardest mode of the normal stages will finally unlock. As you can see, we, as players, have to wait a considerable amount of time, about almost a week I would say, to even be able to clear the entire event. It doesn't help that everything in this game is really fast, so a player only gets about 1 or 2 hours of playtime at most from the event. Another thing related to the lack of content of the game is a roguelike mode, called Ascension, which is very boring and extremely quick to do. I'm going to reference Chaos Zero Nightmare a lot for this part, because I think it's the same idea, and Chaos Zero Nightmare executes it pretty well. But for Stella Sora, you can complete the roguelike in about 5 minutes, which can be a good thing for quickly doing the dailies, but it is very dry and uninteresting. Because all you do is select the ability that looks the best and level them up. And the Ascension mode in general always looks the same. There is no stylistic change from time to time. And there's no gameplay change. In other games like Chaos Zero Nightmare, the overall style and gameplay of the roguelike varies to a degree from season to season. Like in the most recent season of Chaos Zero Nightmare, not only does it look different stylistically from previous seasons, you can also imbue your weapons with abilities which you could not do in previous seasons, which makes this season feel very unique in that regard. Stella Sora lacks those types of things that freshen up the gameplay from time to time and make it more enjoyable to do every day. And also, the gameplay itself is pretty one-dimensional. You just select the best cards that you are given and try to make the optimal build. But in Chaos Zero Nightmare, there are many dimensions of the gameplay. You have weapons that you randomly get that have unique abilities, and you can equip them to your desired character, and there's a chance that your cards in Chaos Zero Nightmare can suddenly evolve, which adds complexity to the game. And also, the characters can have mental breakdowns that can happen during a Chaos run, which is the roguelike for Chaos Zero Nightmare. So, as you can see, a lot of things can happen during a Chaos run in Chaos Zero Nightmare that makes each run feel different and fun to do. Whereas in Stella Sora, each run feels the same and boring to do, which makes the player bored of the game and does not want to play the game. Do I think the roguelike mode for Stella Sora should exactly be like Chaos Zero Nightmare? No, of course not. Stella Sora has its own identity, and its gameplay should differ from Chaos Zero Nightmare's. What I'm trying to say is that the roguelike right now is very bare bones. It should try to make it more exciting by adding some elements during the run that make it more interactive and engaging for the player rather than clicking the best card. And plus, Chaos Zero Nightmare right now has its own flaws, like the extremely long chaos runs that can take up to an hour to do. Stella Sora has great potential to do this better than Chaos Zero Nightmare by using the fact that it is a super quick game to its advantage and make the Ascension mode quick to do, but also engaging for the player. And also, in my opinion, if I haven't made it clear already, it should take a page from Chaos Zero Nightmare's book and change the theme of the roguelike mode every 1 or 2 months so it doesn't get stale. Another issue with the game is that the dupes don't feel like they are worth it. The dupes, in general, don't add anything different to the character. Like, something different could be a change in the art, or the character, or in the gameplay, but the dupes in Stella Sora are just percentage increases, so they don't really add anything different to the gameplay. A meaningful difference could be like the unit adds a special ailment to the enemy, or that the unit gets a unique addition to their moveset that wasn't there for the non-dupe or previous dupe version. For example, in Fuyuka's case, all her dupes are just percentage increases of her existing attacks, like her first dupe, just increasing the crit damage by 40%. Her second dupe, only increasing the damage of a certain skill by 44%. And her third dupe, only increasing her damage by 25%. You get the idea. If I am paying money, I want the character to do some flashy stuff in the gameplay that would make me want to pay money, rather than it just doing larger numbers while looking the same. And also, another issue that is tied to this is that the stages are too easy to do, which disincentivizes players from topping up in the game because the non-dupe versions of the characters are enough to clear it. In the case of the competitive boss blitz mode, where players compete with each other to get the highest score against the boss, a player on Reddit was able to get in the top 5 in the boss blitz game mode using non-dupe units. Usually, the top players in these types of game modes would have dupes, but in this case, it is completely possible for a free-to-play player to score a top rank in the boss blitz game mode. This means that the dupes, even though they technically buff up the unit, they don't provide enough of a buff that would clearly differentiate them from the non-dupe versions. And if it doesn't matter much, then what is the point of whaling in this game? So the benefit of the dupes being so underwhelming is definitely an issue for why Stella Sora is suffering revenue-wise. Lastly, another major problem with Stella Sora is that it's too easy. I can literally just auto through everything and get all the rewards from the events, like the Cataclysm Survivor game mode and the Boss Blitz game mode. These are way too easy to do, and I find myself not even experimenting with a roguelike, not just because it's very dry and boring like I said before, but because I don't feel the need to when I can just auto through everything. It's that easy. Now, there is the occasional finale echoing that happens every once in a while with some really tough bosses, which are hard to auto through, but those are, like I said, once in a while. If they add a higher difficulty mode or a higher difficulty to the existing modes with good rewards that would be impossible to clear by just autoing through it, then a lot of players will consider buying in this game to increase their stats and consider going through the roguelike perhaps more than once a day. So the difficulty being too easy is definitely a problem for Stella Sora. But that's what I think Stella Sora should do in order to increase their revenue. I think the problems that this game is facing right now really shows how new YoStar is to developing gacha games. Either that, or they rush the release for this game without getting the chance to do some final tweaking. But either way, I think Stella Sora has immense potential to be successful just like Blue Archive. And YoStar itself is a big company and has the budget to achieve success like that. And I think even YoStar knows that this game right now is not perfect and is working on making it better as we speak. So I think we should wait until the half anniversary or something and see if YoStar brings in the necessary changes to keep this game alive. But that's what I think, guys. What do you think? Do you think Stella Sora is going to EOS? What is Stella Sora doing wrong right now to have such decreasing revenue? Let me know what you guys think. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. With that being said, have a good day, and SuperGachaMan out.